Hey everybody, welcome back to Code 4 Cooking. I'm Jeff, and today what we're going to do is we're going to do some pan-seared salmon with rice. My name is Jeffy Antonenko. I was a paramedic for over 26 years. I did my bit for king and country, but it took its toll, physically, emotionally, and mentally. One thing that could always bring me peace and calm, and that's cooking. Ask my partners. We ate well. Now I want to share that place with you. For my first responder and military family, I want to share my knowledge and experience of cooking, start to finish, with me, and hope you can find your peace and calm while cooking. And to anyone else just starting or in need of a person to cook with, from gathering and prepping our ingredients to cooking, and finally plating and tasting, let's help you find that peace and calm as well in cooking. So come on, cook with me. Alright, so we're going to get started here. First thing we want to do is go ahead and gather our ingredients. So it's not a big list. It's not going to take a whole lot of time. Let's just lay everything out. We've got our 2 salmon fillets. Pick these up at our local Hy-Vee. They're about 4 to 5 ounces each. We've got the butter that we're going to be using for our rice. We've got our rice, our measuring cup. Now this is bacon fat. I collect after every time I use it, so I'm going to be using bacon fat today. If you want to, go ahead and use olive oil or canola oil. The big thing is that you're going to just put enough in the frying pan to cover the bottom, so you're not filling it up with oil or fat or whatever else. You're just going to put a nice layer down there so that the salmon can sit in it and get a nice sear on there. And then we have, this is Kinder's lemon pepper seasoning. So no sense reinventing the wheel when you got good products out there. They're not paying me for this or anything else. It happens to be what I use. And then real lemon juice from concentrate. And we'll use this towards the end. So a couple things that we want to do when we first get started. I'm going to get some gloves on here. Now I'm cooking in cast iron for the salmon and just a simple pot for the rice. So first thing we can do now that we have all of our ingredients all set up, we want to put the seasoning on the protein always as soon as you can when you start this. Gives it a little bit more time to absorb in and adhere. I know I said it's about 2 tablespoons, but what you do is you take your shaker from a bit of a height. You just gently shake that out and put that on there. And over the next few minutes, this is going to absorb nicely. Now, when you're doing your shaker, higher up, it gives a better spread. Closer down, it's going to be more concentrated. So that's why it's nice to keep it about 6 inches to a foot above. If you're outdoor cooking, obviously you're going to have to keep it down a little closer because of wind. But we don't have wind effect in the kitchen. At least not yet. All right, so our fish is ready here. We're going to get a cup of water. Remember, we always cook with cold water. Most homes have that have water softeners. The hot water is automatically connected and they don't always isolate the kitchen faucet. So this way, this is just regular water and not softened water. We're going to go ahead and take the lid off our small pan here. There's our 1 cup of water. Put that on the stove. We're going to get the hood going because we cook with gas. We're going to turn that on and get it ready to boil. And then you can just take a paper towel or a cloth and wipe this out. You're just getting the moisture out of here because now we're going to go ahead and add our rice. So, according to the directions on the box, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 cup of water, 1 cup of rice. There we go. Take a look here. A little bit on the heavy side. We'll put a little back. That's better. Alright, so our rice is measured out. Our salmon is here. Now I'm going to take a nice scoop of my bacon fat. pan started. Now, I'm cooking in a cast iron, and cast iron has the ability to retain its heat for a very, very long time. It's also very easy to overheat the pan. Same thing with stainless steel. So you really want to just be careful, find that hot spot where you like with your own stovetop, cooktop, induction burner, figure out where your temperature wants to be at. And then we'll go ahead, and once we get that heated up, we'll go ahead and start adding the salmon. Okay, so we season the top of the fish. This does not have a skin on it. If you looked at the underside, you'd be able to see the divider where the skin would be. It's flat. And on the top, you can see that it's got kind of a crown to it. And we're going to take this fish, once the oil is hot, and we're going to lay it in to the pan, pushing it away from us. Because we don't want to have anything fall forward, because then it would splash towards us. Even if we have an apron on, you'll end up possibly burning your hands or face, or God forbid the dogs or anybody else that happens to be nearby. So, we're going to pick up our salmon, we're going to scrape it across the pan. That way we know if it slides and doesn't stick, that the oil is hot enough. Okay? We'll take a look over here at our oil. See, that's doing a nice job just coating that. I guess one of the advantages of using like the fat, if I feel like I have enough in there, I can just scoop what's hasn't melted yet and put it back in my jar. We're also going to keep an eye on our water over here for our rice. As soon as that water starts to boil, all we have to do is pour our rice in, fluff it with a fork. Grab a fork. We're going to fluff it with a fork, put the lid on, turn the heat off, and let it set. If you're on an induction burner or elemental stovetop, those elements stay hot longer, so just pull the rice to another spot on the stove where it's cold, and then it just sits and will absorb all the water over the next 5 minutes or so. Doesn't take long for the water to boil. It's not going to take long for your fish to cook. So that's why this is kind of a one-stop cooking. We're not going to take a break today or rest. We're just going to roll right into it. Now, our oil, you turn it side to side. We'll start to get a little bit of a shimmer. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. Now, when we put our fish in, what you're going to notice right down here on the bottom, when it's sitting in the pan, that part down here is going to start to simmer or sear, and you're going to start to watch on the outside portion how it starts to become more white and cooked up. What we don't want is such a high heat that we have the fat coming up through the pieces. And you can tell it's the fat, it's the white portion that comes up through there. It's not a bad thing, it just means that you're cooking it a little hot. And you're going to have to turn your temperature down or move your pan off the heat for a little bit. And then turn it. For the size of these fillets, they're not very big, so they're not going to take a whole lot of time to cook. Which is kind of nice. It's part of the whole thing about this dealio of cooking. We want you to know that you can have a good meal, healthy meal, in a short period of time. Alright, our water over here is boiling. Let's go ahead and put our rice in. This is in. Give it a little stir. Put the lid on. And now, I'm just going to turn the gas off. And that's going to be ready in 5 minutes. So, as we look at our cast iron, with this bacon fat, the way it's heating up, you can just see it starting to smoke a little bit. And now we're getting that good ripple as we turn it. You don't have to turn this a lot to get that, to see that. And now we're going to take our fish. Remember, we're going to hold our fish. We're going to slowly slide it across. You'll see how much gets laid down. See if that doesn't stick. If it doesn't stick, we're hot enough, and then we're going to lay it in and grab our other piece and just lay it in itself. Okay, so here we go. First fish. There. That looks good. Just set that in there. Grab our second piece. Lay that in there. Make sure that you don't have your hands go in and touch that pan. It's obviously hot. I'm done with the raw meat, so I'm going to take my gloves off. Go ahead and throw those away. Now, this is that fat line I was telling you about, and it's kind of a part where the skin is connected to. And now, so while this is cooking, we've got about 3 to 4 minutes to let it go. The nicest part about this kind of cooking, it's going to do this on its own. You don't have to mess with it. You don't have to move it. You leave it, you let it sit, and that'll help get that seared and that really nice kind of a crust on top, but it's not going to be rock hard. It's just going to be breakthrough. But we want to add a little seasoning to the backside of the fish. Now is the time to do it. We'll take our shaker and real gentle. All right, add some lemon pepper. Okay. Anywhere along the way, I know that I had it in the menu that we were going to be putting some lemon juice on top of the fish first. I blanked it while we were doing this. Not a big deal. Because this is just going to help have the seasonings stick to it and add a little bit more of that lemon flavor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a couple drops on the backside of it now, and that'll help us out. Alright, now, that lemon juice goes in there, and you see it immediately start crackling. It's because it's a water. Water and fats don't mix, right? But you can add other fats to fats. So if we wanted to, we could add, say, a little bit of butter, and we put it in the pan, and kind of stir it around the fish, and then after we turn it, we can take a spoon and baste the fish with the butter fat seasoning, and that'll just keep the top side a little bit moist. And you're going to still maintain that really nice crust. Okay. Now, cast iron, stainless steel. We can use steel turners. So that's what I have here. There's also, we can use this one. I'll get a little closer. You can see this has got some holes in there. See that? So this is more when you're using this for more fish. All right, that way you can slide underneath and the drippings go underneath. Doesn't separate the fish, or solid all the way across. And you choose for what you need. If you've got a nice piece of fish the way it is, you can use tongs as well, where you're picking the fish up in the middle and then just rotate it around and set it back down on the pan. Remember, when we do that, we want it to turn away from us, not towards us. We don't want to worry about that fat splashing back on it. All right? So, take a look at our fish here. And see, it's just starting to have the white come up the sides here. So we're getting that good cook in there. I'm going to turn our pan down just a little bit. And again, I'm adjusting the heat from my cast iron pan on my stovetop. You can see that it's got some more smoke coming off of it. I don't want it to be too hot, because I don't want to burn the fish. I just want to have a nice sear on it. Now, while that's cooking, let's take our plate that had the salmon on it, put that in the dishwasher or the sink. Grab a fresh, clean plate out, and now we don't risk cross-contamination. You're not going to have raw fish and then cooked fish. That's how you get sick. All right? So, we're going to just slide our seasonings off to the side. We've got enough fat to cook in, so we can close that up and put it off to the side. And this is the nice thing. It's not a pressure cook. You know, we're looking at having a nice meal. We're relaxed. We have time. And we clean up as we go. That makes it so much easier when we're done. The pans obviously are going to have to cool down on their own, so once we go to plate, we can plate heat, and our pans will have cooled down by the time dinner's or lunch is done. And finish off our cleanup. It won't be a big deal. Great. I don't know if you've got tongs or spatula. We're going to just take tongs on this one. Just rock it back and forth. Just going to lift it up with a flat piece. There. Now, we'll turn it over. There you go. Now, this is not going to take long to cook at this point. Now, some of you are going to look at this and say, that's burnt. It's not burnt. It's blackened. And there's a difference. It's the heat of that fat on that fish and the seasonings that are getting blackened on there. You're going to get that little blackened flavor. If you didn't want the blackened flavor, if you didn't want to see it that way, cook at a lower heat. Obviously, I had to adjust the temperature already, so I already knew we were running a little hot. And now, because I know we're still running a little hot, I'm going to turn it off. And as I said before, the cast iron is going to retain that heat for a good length of time. You're looking to shoot for a temperature of about 145 degrees. So here is a Thermapen, and we're just going to take this, touch it inside the fish. We're at 104, 98. So you can see on the edges how it's becoming more and more white, and that's that fat I was telling you about. And nobody's perfect. This is just me cooking and having you come with me on this cooking adventure. It's kind of fun. We're going to leave this to finish cooking for a minute, but we have reached the 5-minute mark. So let's go take a look at how our rice is doing. Remember, all of these pots and pans, the lids can all be hot because they're on the stove. Please, use an oven mitt if it's going to be hot, if you're afraid of burning yourself. They're easy to have. You get these. These are grill armor gloves. They're good to 500-600 degrees. Great for grabbing hot stuff. And no, nobody's paying me for this endorsement. These just happen to be what I found on one day, and I really love them. So we'll take the lid off. We're going to set that off to the side. And we're going to check. You can see our rice all the way through is cooked well. So now we're going to take the fork and put about a tablespoon of butter. Drop that in there. Let that melt. Put our lid back on. Now let's check our fish. Alright. You can see there, break that one up, it's just got that little bit of pink inside. That's perfect. Right where we want it to be. Grab another plate. So, now that we know we're done, we're going to take our rice. Now, it's a nice complement to the rice and the fish is to just add a little squeeze of lemon. And then we'll give it a stir. And now we're going to pour some rice out here on the plate. It's presentation. If things look good, they have a tendency of tasting better. So we'll just spread that rice out like that. We'll come over and grab our other piece of fish. Now as we turn this over, lost a piece. Set that there. There you go. Nice piece of salmon, freshly cooked over a bed of rice. And if we wanted to, we have more butter. We can add a little more seasonings to this if we would like to. The rice is versatile. The nice thing I like about it is that because it takes on so many different flavors, if we wanted to, we could have added some seared onion. We could add some bell pepper, things like that to kind of brighten it up. And if you're looking at saying we want a complete meal, this is a nice meal. Have a side salad. Just a little salad, a little dressing, some carrots and cucumber and whatnot added to it, or apple. And that's it. Well, I gotta try this because it's sitting here staring at me. You can see that's just fork tender. There you go. Just falls apart. Perfectly cooked. Right? You don't want that white all the way through. Just like that. That's beautiful right there. And what you're going to find, add a little rice to this. With that lemon that got added to the rice, you can take a bite of your fish. If you want more lemon on your fish, add a little more on top. Yep, it's absolutely perfect. The darkened portions of the fish, you're only tasting the seasonings. Now, if you had added some Cajun seasonings or some cayenne, something like that, that you want to add a little bit more heat to it, when you put that in and it sears, it brings those flavors out a little bit more. They're a little bit more predominant. Right, I tell you, we haven't been here long, and we've got a nice piece of fish cooked up in front of us. Check the notes on this. You can do this. This is salmon. You can use steelhead. Steelhead and salmon have a very similar diet. So the steelhead will be pink as well, but it'll be a slightly different kind of pink. You can use this with walleye. You can use it with cod. Any number of different fishes to cook with these simple ingredients. They'll also take on dill. They'll take on your Cajun seasonings. They'll take on pretty much whatever else you ask for. And again, you can do this with rice. You can do this with potatoes. But we haven't been here long. We haven't broken a sweat. We've got a nice meal. So that's what Code 4 Cooking is about. Simple, easy meals that we can do. We don't have to run around like crazy. Good food. And enough for a partner if you have it. If we needed more, we could have cooked another couple of fillets if we wanted to. Scale it up, scale it down for what you're looking at, what you're serving. And just everything comes together. So, remember, here at Code 4 Cooking, you want you to know that you're never out of the fight, and you're never alone. You are never alone. If you feel the need to have somebody with you, come here. Let's cook a meal together. We can eat and taste these wonderful dishes and feel good about what we're doing. We can go out after that, find somebody else to share our meals with. If you happen to have your family sitting around the corner, then they're going to be the ones you're going to enjoy it with. So, from Jeff at Code 4 Cooking, I can't wait to see you back here. Remember to like and subscribe so that we can keep getting these videos out to you. We're going to try to do a whole bunch of fish series and beef series and everything else that I can do. But I want to take it nice and slow, simple prep, simple cook, simple cleanup. And it sounds daunting now. Come with me for a few cooks. You'll find out how easy it can be and how non-stress it is. That's the love about cooking. Take your time, work your way through the problem, and enjoy your product at the end. It's not a rush. All right, we'll see you back here at Code 4 Cooking with some more food. And I'll go have my lunch. See you soon.